Welcome to this evening's class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple in Sydney, Australia. We are continuing from yesterday's class of the prayers offered by Kaliya Nag's wives, the Nagapatnis, and this will be the conclusion of those prayers. We read yesterday from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, text 16, and we read from text 33 to text 44. Just to recap, we were talking about the prayers offered by the Nagapatnis, the wives of Kaliya Nag, to Lord Krishna when Lord Krishna was chastising the great serpent Kaliya Nag and he was polluting the river, Yamuna river. So continuing from there, and we will conclude. So Hare Krishna and welcome to you all, and thank you for attending MyPut TV and ISKCON Sydney YouTube. So we'll start off with a little kirtan, and then we'll continue. So Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Asutra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sabhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we are going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, text 16, and continuing from text 44 about Lord Krishna subduing the great serpent Kaliya. With 1,000 hoods, with the 101 prominent hoods. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay, so a little bit of background. I'll read this time from the Krishna book. When Lord Krishna understood that the water of Yamuna was being polluted by the black serpent Kaliya, Lord Krishna took action against him, which is kind of nice, isn't it? Because Lord Krishna realizes this, that there's a bit of a problem, and he fixes it straight away, So he understood that the water of Yamuna was being polluted by the black serpent Kaliya, and he took action against him and made him leave the Yamuna and go elsewhere, and thus the Yamuna river became purified. When this story was being narrated by Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj, Parikshit became eager Maharaj Parikshit became eager to hear more about Krishna's childhood pastimes. And so he inquired from Sukadeva Goswami how Krishna chastised Kaliya, and who had been living in the water for many years. Actually, Maharaj Parikshit was becoming more and more enthusiastic to hear the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Hence, the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10. It's got everything about Lord Krishna. It's very exciting to read. And if anyone loves Krishna and loves Krishna's pastimes, they go straight to Canto 10 and they bypass all the other Srimad Bhagavatam cantos just to know about Lord Krishna. They just go straight to Canto 10. So such was the enthusiasm of Maharaj Parikshit. He was becoming more and more enthusiastic to hear Lord Krishna's pastimes. And his inquiry was made with great interest. So Sukadeva Goswami narrated the story as follows. Within the river Yamuna, there was a great lake, and in that lake, the black serpent Kaliya used to live. Because of his poison, the whole area was so contaminated that it emanated a poisonous vapor 24 hours a day. So if a bird happened to even pass overhead, over the spot, it would immediately die and fall in the river. Due to the poisonous effect, the Yamuna's vapors, the trees, grass near the bank of Yamuna had all dried up. And Lord Krishna saw that effect of the great serpent's poison, and the whole river that ran in Vrindavan was now deadly. So it obviously was becoming a threat to all the residents of Vrindavan. So Krishna, who had vented himself just to kill all undesirable elements in the world, immediately climbed up into a big kadamba tree on the bank of Yamuna. The kadamba tree is a tree bearing yellow flowers and is seen in Vrindavan area. And after climbing the top of the tree, he tightened his belt cloth and slapping his arms like a wrestler. It is also said that he tied his hair behind him. And he tightened his belt, slapping his arms like a wrestler. He jumped into the midst of the poisonous lake. The kadamba tree from which Krishna jumped was the only tree there which was not dead. Some commenters say that due to being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, the tree immediately became alive. In some other Puranas, it is stated that Garuda, the eternal carrier of Vishnu, knew that Krishna would take this action in future. And so he put some nectar in the tree to preserve it. Lord Garuda actually was quite instrumental in this pastime. He was the one who was responsible for putting Kaliya Nag in the lake in the first place, because that was the only place he couldn't eat the serpent. So in hiding, the serpent lived there. Otherwise, had he lived anywhere else, Garuda would have eaten him. Actually, Garuda and the serpent were brothers. Or they had the same father, just a different mother. So they were related. But obviously, Garuda wanted to eat him. That's Garuda's Mahaprasad. He loves to eat snakes for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. So anyway, when Lord Krishna jumped into the water, the river overflooded its banks to a distance of 100 yards, as if something very large had fallen into it. And this exhibition of Krishna's strength is not uncommon, because he is the reservoir of all strength. So when Krishna was swimming about like a strong elephant, he made a tumultuous sound, and Kaliya could hear him, and he could understand that this was an attempt to attack his home. So he came to defend his home initially. Therefore, he immediately came before Krishna, and Kaliya saw that Krishna was indeed worth seeing. His body was so beautiful and delicate. His color resembled that of a cloud. So Krishna looked very beautiful even when he was there to attack Kaliya Nag, which is really very beautiful. Even in his most ferocious state, Krishna looks very beautiful. He was decorated with Srivatsa, jewels and yellow garments. He was smiling with a beautiful face and playing in the river, Yamuna, with great strength. But in spite of Krishna's beautiful features, Kaliya felt great anger. He felt great anger because he's a snake. And snakes, they're born with this envious nature, and they will attack. It doesn't matter how beautiful or how compassionate the victim is, they'll attack. So Kaliya felt great anger within his heart, and thus he grabbed Krishna with his mighty coils seeing the incredible way in which Krishna was enveloped in the coils of the serpent, the affectionate cowherd boys and other inhabitants of Vrindavan immediately became stunned out of fear. And they had dedicated their lives, everything to Krishna, their lives, their property, their affection activities, everything was for Krishna. So when they saw him in that condition, they became overwhelmed, and they all fell to the ground. The cows, the bulls, the small calves all became overwhelmed. They began to look at him with great anxiety, and out of fear, they could only cry. They were falling to the ground in agony. They were in a lot of unable to help their beloved Krishna. They were losing their minds. The scene was taking place on the bank of Yamuna, and all ill omens manifested. The earth trembled, meteors fell from the sky and left the side of the man's body shivered. So all these indications are of great imminent danger. Observing the inauspicious sign, the cowherd men, including Maharaj Nanda, became very anxious out of fear. At that time, they were informed that Krishna has gone into the pasturing ground without his elder brother. So basically, they all became very fearful for Krishna's life, and they all rushed to the Yamuna bank to save Krishna. And when they saw Krishna there in the coils, they practically lost their life. The only person there who didn't feel like that was Lord Balram, and he stood there smiling, and then he tried to reassure the Vrindavan residents that Krishna is all powerful and he's going to be defeated, so there's nothing to worry about. And Mother Yashoda was there also. Mother Yashoda just fainted to the ground, and the ladies, they were trying to be strong for Yashoda Mai. But they could not console, and then Krishna finally realized that the residents of Vrindavan were about to lose their lives. They were about to die in anxiety and agony. So he decided, okay, I'll start dancing on Kaliya's hoods to reassure that I'm fine. And that's when he started stomping all the poison out of the hoods of Kaliya, and every hood that disobeyed him, basically he stamped and broke. And finally, Kaliya gave up and was about to die. And that's when his wives realized that their husband was about to die. And they put their hands together and prayed to Lord Krishna. And the prayers that they offered to Lord Krishna was so beautiful, very, very beautiful. That we recite them up till today. And Srila Prabhupada comments in his purport that these prayers we should always hear, because they are in such high praise of Lord Krishna from pure devotees. So this actually proves that the Nagapatnis, they were actually pure devotees of Lord Krishna, even though they had a very envious husband. And such is the case in real life too. There are many situations where women are praying to Lord Krishna, ladies, and they are so devoted, and they're trying to arrange their husbands to be favorable, and their husbands behave exactly like Kaliya. There are situations that, I'm not saying that's everywhere, but obviously in this day and age, Kali Yuga has its situations. So we must take example from the Nagapatnis and continue to pray to Lord Krishna to change the hearts of those loved ones who are envious and are unfavorable to Krishna. And Krishna, like Krishna Kaliya, will stamp on such people and drive out the poison, or drive out the anarthas or the sinful activities, and make them favorable. I mean, this stomping of Kaliya, subduing him, actually made Kaliya a devotee of Krishna. When he was banished out of Yamuna, he was asked to go and reside in the islands, which hopefully I will have time to read later on after these prayers. The stories continue. So if I have time, I will try to read it. So hopefully, I mean, it's one of my favorite pastimes of Lord Krishna since I'm born there. So I love the pastimes of Krishna Kaliya. So as I was saying, he was banished, and he resides in Fiji up till this day, and he protects Krishna, and as a devotee of Lord Krishna, and he protects the devotees of Lord Krishna in Fiji. So many times it's happened that Fiji Islands, it's got extremely beautiful waters in the ocean, and there are no snakes there because Kaliya eats all the snakes. Many times there have been natural disasters like very strong hurricanes and even tsunamis and things, and each time Fiji has been protected. And the saying goes that it won't hurt us. Fiji will be fine because Kaliya is protecting Fiji and the devotees, and Kaliya is protecting the Krishna Kaliya temple that was established by Srila Prabhupada. It is indeed a beautiful temple, and if you do get a chance, you must visit. So if you just bear with me, I'll go back to the Srimad Bhagavatam in my iPad, and hopefully I can find the shlokas where we left off yesterday. Yes, so text 44. Canto 10, chapter 16, text 44. So Nama Paramana Mulaya Kavaya Shastra Yonai Pravrataya Nivrataya Nigamaya Namo Namaha. We offer our obeisances again and again to you, who are the basis of all authoritative evidence, who are the author who are the author and ultimate source of the revealed scriptures, and who have manifested yourself in those Vedic literatures, encouraging sense gratification, as well as those encouraging renunciation of the material world. So these are the translations of the prayers made by the very pure devotees, the Nagpatnis, the wives of Kaliya serpent. Prabhupada's purport reads, if we did not have the powers of perception and cognition, evidence could not be transmitted. And if we had no tendency to believe in particular modes of evidence, persuasion could not take place. All these processes, perception, cognition, persuasion, and transmission, take place through the various potencies of the Supreme Lord. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. No. The Supreme Lord Krishna is himself the greatest scholar and intellectual being. He manifests the transcendental scriptures within the hearts of great devotees like Brahma and Narada, and in addition he incarnates as Vedvyas, the compiler of all Vedic knowledge. In multifarious ways, the Lord generates a variety of religious scriptures which gradually bring the conditioned souls through the various phases of re-entry into the kingdom of God. So text 45, Namaha Krishnaya Ramaya Vasudeva Sutaya Cha Pradumanya Niruddhaya Satvatam Pataya Namaha. Very beautiful. We offer our obeisances to Lord Krishna and Lord Ram, the sons of Vasudeva, and to Lord Pradyuman and Lord Aniruddha. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the master of all the saintly devotees of Vishnu. So they are referring to Lord Krishna here as Ram, Vasudeva, Pradyuman, Aniruddha, and Lord Vishnu. Text 46, Namo Guna Pradipaya, Gunatma Chad Danaya Cha, Guna Vritti Upalalayaksha, Ya, Guna Drashtresva Samvade. Obeisances to you, O Lord, who manifest varieties of material and spiritual qualities. You disguise yourself with the material qualities, and yet the functioning of those same material qualities ultimately reveals your existence. So the Nagpatnis here are revealing the knowledge of Krishna in a very high level, in a very spiritual, like a pure, like exactly like pure devotees, because they are pure devotees. They are very realized, highly realized. So they're saying yourself with you disguise yourself with the material qualities, and yet the functioning of the same material qualities ultimately reveals your existence. You stand apart from the material qualities as witness and can be fully known by your devotees. We will continue. Wait, hold on. I'll continue with the purport because it seems to be very interesting, which Srila Prabhupada had mentioned. It's worth listening to. The word guna conveys various meanings, the three basic qualities of material nature, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Excellent qualities one manifests because of piety and spiritual achievement, or the internal senses, such as the mind and intelligence. The word pradipaya means unto him who manifests or illuminates. So thus here the Nagpatnis are addressing the Supreme Lord as he who manifests all material and spiritual qualities, and who causes the living entities to be conscious. So one can see the Lord by going beyond the screen of material nature, and therefore he is called Gunatma Chandanaya. One methodically and intelligently studies the functioning of the material qualities. He will ultimately conclude that there is a supreme personality of Godhead, and that he exhibits his illusionary potency to bewilder those who do not surrender unto him. The Lord is never affected by the modes of nature, being their witness, and thus he is called Guna Drashtre. The word Sva indicates one's own, and thus Sva Samvide means that Lord Krishna can only be known by his own people. So, who are his own people? They're his devotees, his associates, his parents, his gopis, his cows, his all his beloved animals, and Narad Muni, and Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma. By his own people, the devotees, and also that ultimately only the Lord can know himself perfectly. Actually, no one really knows him, even though we endeavor. All his associates, they need pure devotees. They try to know him, but ultimately, no one knows him perfectly. They know some of him, but not perfectly. Therefore, we should take Lord Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita and immediately come to the right conclusion, full surrender to the Lord's lotus feet. And thus we should humbly glorify the Lord, following the example of the Nagpatnis. And this is what I wanted to read out of the purport, that whatever situation we may be in, whatever challenges we may face, we can take the example of the prayers offered by the Nagpatnis. They had spent their whole lives serving a devotee, a non-devotee husband, such as the Kaliya, and yet they were fully realized. And inside their hearts, they were wishing that Lord Krishna should kill him because he was not a devotee. But once he became a devotee, they changed their minds. And the prayers that they offered, we can take to heart, and we can recite these prayers. We can learn the meaning of these prayers, and take it to heart and apply it in our daily lives and our situations. And surely, definitely, Krishna will hear our prayers, and he will protect you and your loved ones, and give you shelter at his lotus feet. So do take the time to read these prayers and the meanings. They're very wonderful and beautiful, because it is very applicable to our lives. There's a lot of poison in Kaliya, and a lot of poisonous people around us, just like Kaliya Nag. And we require Lord Krishna to dance out the poison from these situations, from these people, without hurting them, and turn them into devotees, just like Kaliya Nag. And it is a very happy ending to a very troubled situation. So do please take the time to read these prayers that the Nagpatnis are reciting, and take that as an example. So continuing from there, Avyakarta Viharaya Sarva Vyakrata Siddhaye Rishikesham Namastetu Munaye Mona Siline. O Lord Rishikesh, master of the senses, please let us offer our obeisances unto you, whose pastimes are inconceivably glorious. Your existence can be inferred from the necessity for a creator and revealer of all cosmic manifestations. But although your devotees can understand you in this way, to the non-devotees you remain silent, absorbed in self-satisfaction. Text 48. Paravaragati Jnana Sarvadhya Yakshate Namaha Avishvaya Cha Vishvaya Tad drasre shyacha hetave. Okay, the meaning of that. Obeisances unto you who know the destination of all things, superior and inferior, and who are the presiding regulator of all that be. You are distinct from the universal creation, and yet you are the basis upon which illusion of material creation evolves, and also the witness of this illusion. Indeed, you are the root cause of the entire world. So the last sentence, the last translation, indeed, you are the root cause of the entire world. And Lord Brahma recites the same thing. Ishvara, Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraya Anadi Radhir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So Lord Brahma is also, or he's also saying the same thing, Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes, which here the Nagpatnis are saying the same thing. You are the root cause of the entire world. And Lord Brahma also says this thing, same thing. Ishvara Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraya, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So the words para, avara indicate superior subtle elements and inferior gross ones. The words also indicate superior personalities, devotees of the Lord, and inferior personalities who are unaware of the glories of the Lord. So Lord Krishna knows the destiny of all superior and inferior entities, animate and inanimate. As the supreme absolute truth, he remains in his unique position above everything, as indicated by the word sarva dhakshaya. Text 49. Tvam hi asya janma sthiti samyaman vibho gunair aniho krita kala shakti drik tat swabhavan pratibhodayan shataha samikshaya mogha vihara ihase. Translation. O Almighty Lord, although you have no reason to become involved in the material activity, still you act through your external potency of time to arrange for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. You do this by awakening the distinct functions of each of the modes of nature, which before the creation lie dormant. Simply by your glance, you perfectly execute all these activities of cosmic control in a sporting mood. So these Nagpatnis, they are exhibiting all this knowledge that comes from Brahma. So just imagine the level of these ladies, very high level, very realized, pure devotees. And so why wouldn't Krishna hear their prayers and forgive their husband? Why wouldn't he? Because Lord Krishna is in the heart of everyone, and he understands, he realizes the stage or the kind of devotee you are, and he reciprocates. So these Nagpatnis were displaying amazing knowledge that even Lord Brahma has said the same. So very similar, the prayers, the meanings. So continuing from there, skeptics may question why the Supreme Lord has created the material world, which is full of the birth, maintenance, and death. Here the Nagpatnis point out that the Lord's pastimes are amoga, beyond any discrepancy. Shri Krishna actually desires all the conditioned souls live with him in his external kingdom, but those forgetful souls who are inimical to their loving relationship with the Lord must go to the material world and be subjected to the conditions of time. The fortunate conditioned souls are startled into remembrance of their actual position as loving servants of the Lord. And from within the heart, the Lord then encourages them to come back home. So don't think for any second, any moment that Krishna is not calling you. He is calling you all the time. He's calling you all the time. And our duty is then becomes to just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and tell Krishna that we are listening and we would like to come back home. Just simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is enough to tell Lord Krishna all our desires and all our prayers and all our wishes, and that we are submissive to him and we want to come back home. That is all that is required, is that we chant. Continuing, the Lord then encourages them to come back home, back to Godhead, where time is conspicuous by its absence, where eternal blissful existence supersedes the dramatic but the disturbing functions of cosmic creation and annihilation. So there is no time. According to this purport, in Godhead, time is conspicuous by its absence. There is no time, no element such as time. It should be really interesting. So we are on to text 50. Tasyaiva te mustanavastri lokyam shanta ashanta utamudha yonaya shanta priyastehi adhune vitam shatam satuscha te dharma paripashe hataha. Therefore, translation, therefore, all material bodies throughout the three worlds, those that are peaceful in the mode of goodness, those that are agitated in the mode of passion, and those that are foolish in the mode of ignorance, all are your creations. Still, those living entities whose bodies are in the mode of goodness are especially dear to you, and it is to maintain them and protect their religious principles that you are now present on earth. So the Nagpatnis are telling, are revealing to Krishna that they know why he's here. He's here to protect the devotees, those souls who are in the mode of goodness. So they are aware exactly who Krishna is and why he's there. If we were there, if I was there, I wouldn't know how to actually express these wonderful prayers. It's really wonderful. How we would actually let Krishna know that he is everything and he's there to save us. It will be very difficult. So these prayers of the Nagpatnis are amazing, and we should remember, if we ever want to address Krishna in our prayers, this is the way to do it. So 51. Aparada shakrit bharatra shodavaya sva prajakritah shantum arhasi sanatamam sanatatman mudhasya tvam ajanataha. Okay. The translation, at least once a master should tolerate an offense committed by his child or subject. O supreme peaceful soul, you should therefore forgive our foolish husband who did not understand who you are. So here they're directly addressing and making a request. You should therefore forgive our foolish husband who did not understand who you are. Just like a master should tolerate an offense committed by his child or subject. So because of their extreme anxiety in this verse, Kaliya's wife mentioned the same idea twice, that the Supreme Lord should kindly forgive their foolish husband. The Supreme Lord is Sanatatma, the Supreme Peaceful Soul, and therefore the Nagpatni suggests it would be proper for him to overlook at least this once, the great offense committed by the ignorant Kaliya. So here they are begging to Lord Krishna to save his life and to spare him. So text 52. Anugranishva Bhagavan pranam tyajati panahagha strinam na sadhu sochyanam pati prana pradityatam. O Supreme Lord, please be merciful. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us. This serpent is about to give up his life. Please give us back our husband, who is our life and soul. So they are saying that Kalyanag is their life and soul, and for Krishna to give him back to them. And because he is merciful, especially to women. So ladies, if you're out there, if you really want some guidance on how to address your prayers, this is the way to do it, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he feels a lot of compassion for women, and he is especially merciful. So the Nagpatnis, they are requesting, please give us back our husband, who is our life and soul. Text 53. Videhiti kinkarinam Anushteyam tvajagnya yat shraddha yanutishtan vai muchyate sarvato bhayat. Now please tell us, your maidservants, what we should do. So they are addressing themselves as Lord Krishna's maidservants. Certainly, anyone who faithfully executes your order is automatically freed from all fear. So they are requesting Krishna, Lord Krishna, to instruct them on what they should do because they are very fearful and they will do whatever Krishna asks them. And this is a prayer of surrender also. They say to Krishna that we surrender onto your lotus feet and please tell us what to do, we will do it. Please remove our fears. And so the purport described by Srila Prabhupada is a short one. The surrender of Kaliya's wife was now complete. And Lord Krishna immediately gave them his mercy, immediately, which is really nice, as described in the following verses. So we have, I think I have 15 minutes. I might be able to just read the translations because it's worth knowing. It's a really lovely way to finish off these prayers, this particular pastime. It's wonderful. So I'll read that quickly. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus praised by the Nagpatnis, the Supreme Personality of God had released the serpent Kaliya, who had fallen unconscious. His heads, all his heads, his hoods, were battered by the striking of the Lord's lotus feet. So he was in a very bad shape. All his heads were battered, bruised. He was whipped, but he had the footprints of Lord Krishna's lotus feet on top of his head. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna, upon reaching his decision, immediately jumped down from Kaliya's hoods and stood before the serpent and his wives. So he jumped off straight away when he decided to release Kalyanag. We should remember that when Lord Krishna executed these pastimes, he was just a young village boy in Vrindavan. So Kaliya slowly regained his vital force after that. So he regained slowly though, and sensory functions. Actually, in Fiji, where Kaliya resides up till today, there's a hill where he had made his journey up the hill, and because he's a snake, he would move in a windy or twisted way. So up till today, that hill there in Fiji shows the path that Kaliya had followed up the hill, and that path has no grass growing there. So I am of that mind that the poison was not completely removed. It's still there, that Kaliya can exude, because the grass didn't grow in that hill ever again. And it is in the shape of a snake winding its way up the hill or down a hill. So even though it is described here, he slowly regained his vital force and sensory functions. Not all the poison would have gone away, although it is being kept under tight control because there is no such pollution in Fiji. In fact, Fiji waters are the most pure one you can find. So it sounds a little contradictory, but there we go. There's a snake trail on top of the hill that we can go and see if we visit Fiji. So then, breathing loudly and painfully, the poor serpent addressed the Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his humble submission. So here Kalyanag becomes a devotee, full devotee, and fully surrendered to Lord Krishna, and perfectly qualified to then protect devotees because he's serving Krishna. He's no longer angry. He's no longer in an attacking, vengeful mood. So the serpent Kaliya said, our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant, and constantly angry. Oh my Lord, it is so difficult for people to give up their conditioned nature by which they identify with that which is unreal. So Srila Sanatana Goswami points out that because of his wretched condition, Kaliya was unable to compose original prayers to the Lord, and thus he paraphrased. He used some of those prayers from his wife. So that's why I'm saying the wives that prayers that was described by his wife it's worth adapting for ourselves. So here Kaliya is paraphrasing some of the prayers offered by his wives. The word asad graha indicates that the conditioned soul seizes upon impermanent and impure things such as his own body and the bodies of others and other countless varieties of sense objects. So the ultimate result of such material attachment is frustration, disappointment, and anguish, a fact that now has become crystal clear to the serpent Kaliya. He has become realized. So his prayer continues, O Supreme Creator, it is you who generates this universe, composed of the variegated arrangement of the material modes. And in the process, you manifest various kinds of personalities, species, varieties of sensory and physical strength, varieties of mothers and fathers with variegated mentalities and forms. So here he is expressing his realization. Commenting on this same verse, Srila Madhavacharya has quoted Narad Purana as follows. From Hiranyagarbha, Brahma comes, the second creation of this universe, but the universe is primarily created by Vishnu himself. Vishnu is thus the primary creator, and the four-headed Brahma is merely the secondary creator. So Kaliya's prayers, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, among all the species within your material creation, we serpents are by nature always enraged. Being thus deluded by your illusory energy, which is very difficult to give up, how can we possibly give it up on our own? So he is telling, or he is offering prayers to Krishna that he is helpless to give up his own nature. And such is the condition of us also. We are imbibed with so much, we are conditioned souls, and we have certain habits that's very hard to give up. Goodness. Try preaching to somebody who is adamant to maintain these old habits. Very hard to give up. So the strongest sense to give up is the tongue. I mean, ask somebody who is a diabetic and they have to give up sugar, or is a heart patient and they have to give up certain things in their diet. It's really difficult, very, very difficult. Or somebody who's trying to lose weight and they have to change their diet. They can do anything except change their diet. It's so difficult. So overcoming the nature of the body and the senses is very difficult. And Kaliya Nag is saying that it was very difficult for him to give up his envy. Actually, he had beaten Krishna. And because he had beaten Krishna, Garuda was standing there and he was thinking, I'm going to kill this person, this snake now. Garuda was like enraged because he's Vishnu's carrier. He was there, he was watching everything. And Kaliya Nag had beaten Krishna. Krishna was beaten. And many times. And Garuda was very, very angry. He was violent. It's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion in chapter 28, in part 1, 20, 29, 30, somewhere there. If you look up the qualities of violence of devotees, so that was Garuda expressing violence to protect Krishna because he's such a good devotee. I actually came across this in Gurudev's class, the Nectar of Devotion. This either today or yesterday, one of those days. So that's why it comes to mind. Thanks to Gurudev. That's how Garuda was feeling when Krishna was subduing Kaliya Nag. He wanted to kill Kaliya Nag straight away. But he didn't, because he thought it's Krishna, Lord Krishna might be offended. So thinking of Lord Krishna, he held himself back. He didn't become violent. Anyway, so Kaliya here is indirectly begging for Lord's mercy, realizing that on his own he can never become free from illusion and suffering. Only by surrendering to the Lord and obtaining his mercy can one be released from the painful conditions of material life. Such is our condition. We are no different, actually. We are also in illusion and lots of stuff, and we really can't let go or be free of it without the mercy of Lord Krishna. And that's why we chant. We don't just chant only to be of service to Lord Krishna, to be given devotional service, to be called back to Godhead. We are crying to Krishna in the Maha Mantra for him to remove all our illusions and detach us from all these material attachments. So there's a lot involved in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because it is a painful condition on this material life, and it's very hard to give it up on our own. We cannot do it on our own. We need Lord Krishna's mercy. So that's what Kaliya Nag is saying. Please give me your mercy. And oh Lord, since you are the omniscient Lord of the universe, you are the actual cause of freedom from illusion. Please arrange for us whatever you consider proper, whether it be mercy or punishment. So he is telling Lord Krishna of asking, you can either punish me or you can, save me, protect me. Sukadeva Goswami said, after hearing Kaliya's words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was acting as a role of a human being, replied, "O serpent, you may not remain here any longer." So Krishna is telling, don't stay here anymore. "O serpent, you may not remain here any longer. Go back to the ocean immediately, accompanied by the retinue of your children, wives, other relatives and friends." So take your whole family, your whole community with you and go to the ocean. Let this river be enjoyed by the cows and the humans. So he's saying, let this river be purified again, pure again. If a mortal being attentively remembers my command to you to leave Vrindavan and go to the ocean, and narrates this account at sunrise and sunset, which I'm doing right now, he will never be afraid of you. Well, actually, those devotees in Fiji, they're not afraid of Kaliya Nag. They're devotees and they know that Kaliya Nag is protecting them. So they're not really afraid. Although the sight of Kaliya Nag would be quite fearsome. So we'd hope not to see him. In any case, it is mentioned that whoever sees him in Fiji, they regretfully, they lose their minds. They're never normal again. They go mad. So it's probably best not to see him anyway. Continuing from there, if one bathes in this place of my pastimes and offers the water of this lake to the demigods and other worshipable personalities, or if one observes a fast and duly worships and remembers me, he is sure to become free from all sinful reactions, which is nice. According to the Acharyas, the Lord spoke this verse to make it clear to Kaliya that he could by no means remain in the Yamuna lake. Although the Lord had mercifully pardoned the serpent and ordered him to go to the ocean with all his associates, Kaliya could not even consider requesting to remain in the lake, because it was now to become a holy place for spiritual pilgrims. So there's Krishna giving us his mercy, so that we can go and pray at Yamuna River without the fear of Kaliya Nag or poison that it offers. Although human beings are actually poisoning River Yamuna at the moment, which is a sad condition. I'm not at liberty, nor do I have the time to discuss it further, but it is still contaminated, and we have to pray to Krishna to purify it again for us. Out of fear of Garuda, you left Ramanaka Island and came to the shelter of this lake. So he was living in Fiji before it, apparently. Then he came to Yamuna. But because you are now marked with my footprints, Garuda will no longer try to eat you. So you can go back to Ramnik Island. Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, having been released by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities are wonderful, Kaliya joined his wives in worshipping him with great joy and reverence. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments the following verse. This word Adbhuta Karmana indicates the Lord's wonderful activities of saving the residents of Vrindavan from Kaliya, saving Kaliya from himself from Garuda, and bestowing grace upon both the victim of violence and the committer of the violence. And the word Krishna by Krishna indicates that because Kaliya's wives were great devotees of the Lord and offered him loving affection, Krishna withdrew Karshanam, both Kaliya's offenses against the Lord's devotee Garuda, and that against the residents of Vrindavan, who were very dear to him. So you can just imagine how if you can surrender to Krishna, he will forgive you the offenses that you've done to his great devotees. It's how important is surrender to Lord Krishna. So Kaliya worshipped the Lord of the universe by offering him fine garments. So this is how Kaliya Nag worshipped Krishna. He worshipped the Lord of the universe by offering him fine garments, along with necklaces, jewels, and other valuable ornaments, wonderful scents, ointments, and a large garland of lotus flowers. Having thus pleased the Lord, whose flag is marked with the emblem of Garuda, Kaliya felt satisfied. And receiving the Lord's permission to leave, Kaliya circumambulated him and offered him obeisances. It is nice also. At Krishna Kaliya temple, we circumambulate Sri Krishna Kaliya, the deity that you can see just here. We circumambulate every day, all the time. there's a pathway like usual. Most of the Hare Krishna temples, we have a way to go around and do parikrama. So we always I do my 16 rounds chanting someday, just walking around the temple. It feels very liberating. It's really wonderful. So Kaliya circumambulated him and offered him obeisances, and then taking his wives, friends, and children, he went to his island in the sea. And the very moment Kaliya left, the Yamuna was immediately restored to her original condition, free from poison and full of nectarian water. This happened by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was manifesting a human-like form to enjoy his pastimes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented extensively on this verse to explain the word Manibihi. Kaliya worshipped the Lord with jewels. The Acharya has quoted from Sri Radha Krishna Ganodesha Deepika by Rupa Goswami as follows: Kaustubhakyo Maniriyena Pravishya Hridam Anuragam Kaliya Preyashi Vrinda Haster Atmo Paharitaha. The Lord had made, so this is another interesting one. The Lord had made his Kaustubha gem. So Lord Krishna adorns the Kaustubha jewel. We all know that. The Kaustubha, sometimes he has the Kaustubha jewel. So the Lord had made his Kaustubha gem enter the serpent's lake, and then he arranged for it to be presented to himself, back to himself, by the hands of Kaliya's wives. So the Kaliya's wives gave Kaustubha gem back to him, that which Krishna put in the first place, in their possession, in the treasure chest. In other words, because Lord Krishna wanted to act just like an ordinary human being, he made the transcendental Kaustubha gem invisible and caused it to enter within Kaliya's treasury. And then, when the appropriate moment came for Kaliya to worship the Lord with many different jewels and ornaments, the serpent's wives, unaware of the Lord's transcendental trick, presented him with the Kaustubha gem, thinking it was simply one of the jewels in their possession. So the Acharya has further commented that the reason Lord Krishna described in this verse as Garuda Dhwaja, he whose flag is marked with the symbol of his carrier Garuda, is that Kaliya also desired to become Lord Krishna's carrier. So Kaliya is actually very speedy. He's very fast, Kaliya Nag. So if you call him to Australia, he'll be here in a microsecond. Although I'm not quite sure whether he will come. Who knows? But apparently he's as fast as Garuda, or not as fast as Garuda, but quite fast, I would say. I'm not really at a qualification level to judge who's faster, but apparently Kaliya Nag is very fast. So it's that Kaliya is also desired to become Lord Krishna's carrier. Garuda and the serpents are originally related as brothers. Yes, we mentioned that earlier. And therefore Kaliya wanted to indicate to Lord Krishna, if you have to go to a distant place, you should also think of me as your personal carrier. So he's offering his services. I'm the servant of your servant. And in a wink of an eye, I can travel hundreds of millions of yojanas. So in a wink of an eye, hundreds of millions of yojanas, that's like a lot of distance in such a short time. So apparently very fast. Thus the Puranas narrate that in the course of Lord Krishna's eternal of pastimes, when Kamsa orders the Lord to come to Mathura, he sometimes goes there mounted upon Kaliya. I'm going to repeat that. Thus the Puranas narrate that in the course of Lord Krishna's eternal cycle of pastimes, when Kamsa orders the Lord to come to Mathura, he sometimes goes there mounted upon Kaliya. So that this part of the purport is indicating that Lord Krishna sometimes uses Kaliya Nag as his carrier. Apparently, when Kamsa orders the Lord to come to Mathura, he sometimes goes there mounted upon Kaliya, which is a little bit of a brand new news to me because I hadn't read this part before. Anyway, so we have come to the conclusion of Kaliya Serpent's pastimes and the beautiful prayers offered by Kaliya Nag's wife, Nag Patnis. And I do hope that we all get the mercy to visit the temple that signifies these pastimes in Lotoka, Fiji Islands, Sri Krishna Kaliya Temple, which is protected by Kaliya Nag, devotee and a carrier of Lord Krishna. And I pray to Lord Krishna Kaliya that I may visit his temple again and again and again, because I'm born there and I miss him a lot. So we are connected to Krishna, and it is very nice to be connected to a certain pastime. It is certainly purifying and liberating, and is a cause of happiness. And we need to make Krishna and his pastime our lifeblood and soul. We need to endeavor and pray to Lord Krishna at his lotus feet, that he can bless us, that we can be attached to his pastimes, to him, to his lotus feet. And really, that is all we need. Because being attached to his pastimes means that we love Krishna more and more. We love his pastimes, we love Krishna. And that our love for Krishna increases all the time, forever and ever. So, and that really is the sole cause of our existence. We are here to not just to serve Krishna, we are here to love Krishna. And we can love Krishna by listening to his pastimes, by adopting the prayers, wonderful prayers that are offered to him by his pure devotees. So we will end over there. I hope you enjoyed this session, and hopefully we'll be able to meet again early in the morning Srimad Bhagavatam classes on Mondays, which I give. Thank you for listening all. Hare Krishna. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavat Puran ki Jai. Thank you very much.